ואתחנן, תשפ"ה. בשיעור on ספר דברים, שיעורים of ספר דברים were donated by Shlomo and Chava Sesen. The Baruch Hu will bless them with bracha v'atzlacha and everything, nachat from all the children, and we should hear from them only semachot. Also this week, Parashat is Lekavod, one of our best students that learned by us, a very important boy, full with Torah, full with knowledge, Yehoshua, and Vivian Kurtz, that their wedding was this week. And since we are talking about weddings, so today we will speak about Tu B'Av, which falls this year on Shabbat. In the end of Masechet Ta'anit, said Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, לא היו ימים טובים לישראל כ15 באב וכיום הכיפורים. We can understand Yom HaKippurim is a Yom Tov because it's a day of Slicha u'Mechila, and also we got the second Luchot. But 15 of Av, why it's called a Yom Tov? What something good happened? And the Gemara in Masechet Ta'anit counts there 6 things, 6 good things that happened at that time. We will try to speak about some of them. We have to know that on the 15th of Av, this is a Yom Tov, Takana of Chazal. This day was written in Megillat Ta'anit. Megillat Ta'anit was a calendar that Am Yisrael used to celebrate certain days that bad decrees disappeared. But says the Gemara, and one of the days which was mentioned there was Tu B'Av. But what happened was that the Gemara says in Masechet Rosh Hashanah that Megillat Ta'anit was cancelled because a lot of troubles happened during the years, and we cannot celebrate these days that were mentioned in Megillat Ta'anit after Churban Beit HaMikdash. But the Piskei Tosfot in Masechet Ta'anit, they are saying that Megillat Ta'anit was cancelled except of Tu B'Av. Tu B'Av is a Yom Tov. The day is a Yom Tov. All the days in Masechet Ta'anit were mentioned there because of happenings. Tu B'Av is mentioned there because Tu B'Av is a Yom Tov. So Yom Tov is not being cancelled. And the Rambam in Perush HaMishnayot, in the end of Masechet Ta'anit, the Rambam writes there that they made Tu B'Av as days of Mishteh v'Sason. Now let's go to see what happened at that time of Tu B'Av. We will mention several things. One of the things that the Gemara mentioned is there, Kalu Metei Midbar. After Chet Meraglim, Borei Olam said that the whole generation that they sinned in Chet Meraglim, they will die in the desert. In Yerushalmi describes it a little bit more and said the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Levi, every Erev Tish'a B'Av, they sinned on Tish'a B'Av. They were crying. Therefore, every year on Tisha B'Av, there was an announcement. Moshe Rabbeinu took out an announcement to the nation. Go and dig, go and dig. Dig what? Dig caves. And everyone used to go into the grave, and he was sleeping there, the whole nation. Everyone dig the grave and was lying there on Tisha B'Av. In the morning, they woke up every year, missing 15,000 people. This happened all the years from the sin of Chet HaEgel. At the last year, Am Yisrael digged the graves. They went into the grave. In the morning, everyone woke up. Nobody was missing. So Am Yisrael were sure that they made a mistake in the calendar. Maybe today is not the real Tisha B'Av. So they went again next night to the grave. Again they woke up. And this they did another 3-4 days. On the 15th of Av, they wake up and they see they are alive, and they see the moon is full. They understood that they didn't make a mistake. Borei Olam forgave them. And this brings us to understand the connection, what the Gemara's connected Tu B'Av with Yom Kippurim. Yom Kippurim was a time that Borei Olam forgave Am Yisrael for Chet HaEgel. 15 of Av was a day that Borei Olam forgave them, these people, for Chet Meraglim. As we mentioned before, the Rambam mentioned, interesting, the Rambam mentioned from all the things that are being mentioned in the Gemara, only this thing that happened on the 15th of Av. Means to say that the Rambam holds that this was the main thing that Tu B'Av was established on. Another thing that we find is in the Gemara that this day was a day, 15th of Av, that Am Yisrael stopped to cut wood for the Mikdash. In Beit HaMikdash, Am Yisrael used to sacrifice korbanot. The Kohanim used to burn the korbanot on the altar. Fire, heavenly fire came, was on the altar, but they needed also wood. This is called the Ma'aracha of the Eitzim. And they needed for this wood. There were special families, Kohanim families, that they used to go to the fields to cut wood for the Mizbeach. What was the time that they started to do it? Until when they did it? Says the Gemara, explains the Rashbam in Masechet Baba Batra. They started to cut the wood on Chodesh Nisan, and they stopped on the 15th of Av. Says the Gemara, why? Because at that time, Hashash Kocha Shel Chama. In the summer, the sun is very strong. From Nisan till Chodesh Av, the sun becomes stronger and stronger, and very strong, during Chodesh Tammuz and Av. And from the till 15th of Av, the sun is strong. From the 15th of Av, the heat of the sun starts to go down. It reduces the temperature. And since the sun becomes weak, so they couldn't dry the wood for the altar. The wood for the altar has to be dry. And if the wood is not dry, worms can grow in the wood. And says the Meiri, it's not nice that we will sacrifice on the altar, a worm will be on the altar, in the wood. Therefore, they used to stop cutting the wood on the 15th of Av. And explains Rashi, explains the Rashbam in Masechet Baba Batra, that day, the day stopped cutting the wood, they made it as a Yom Tov. Why? Because they finished to fulfill the mitzvah. What the Rashbam is saying here is very difficult. Why? Did they finish to fulfill the mitzvah on the 15th of Av? They stopped. But who said that they finished? Because they finished only because of the nature, because the circumstances of the sun. The sun is not hot anymore. So they didn't finish to fulfill the mitzvah. They stopped. Could be in the middle. If the sun would have been stronger, continue to be stronger, they would have continued cutting the wood. So what is the meaning that the Rashbam says? Because they fulfilled the mitzvah. Therefore, we find another explanation on the Gemara, in the side of the Gemara, that was said by Rabbeinu Gershom. Rabbeinu Gershom explains that the reason why they made it as a Yom Tov is a totally different explanation. And he says, in the time that they were dealing with cutting the wood for the altar, for the Mizbeach, they were mevatel learning of Torah all the time. But at the day they stopped, they made it as a Yom Tov. Why? Because from now, they could have continued learning Torah. Comes out from what Rabbeinu Gershom is saying, even though that the people they used to cut the wood were very few people. Some families of Kohanim, they used to cut the wood. Nevertheless, they made it as a Yom Tov. But what does it mean till now they were mevatel Torah? They used to fulfill a mitzvah. So what do you want from them? You see from here that according to Rabbeinu Gershom, Talmud Torah keneged kulam. And because they stopped fulfilling the mitzvah and starting to learn Torah, 15 of Av became a Yom Tov. We see such a thing in the time of Yoshua bin Nun. In the time of Yoshua bin Nun, Yoshua made a siege. Not a siege, sorry. He surrounded Jericho and wanted to conquer Jericho. At night, they didn't fight at that time at night. An angel came. And he came to give rebuke to Yoshua. Yoshua asked him, what did we do wrong? So he told him, look, yesterday you didn't fulfill the mitzvah of Korban Tamid. You didn't sacrifice Korban Tamid of Shel Ben HaArbaim, of the Mincha. And today you were mevatel Torah, you didn't learn Torah at night. Asked Yoshua the angel, so for what did you come? For yesterday or for today? For not fulfilling the Korban Tamid or for Bitul Torah? Said the angel, I came for Bitul Torah. You see from here that Bitul Torah is stronger than fulfilling a mitzvah. Talmud Torah keneged kulam. Not only this, we see the importance of Talmud Torah. Even we find it with pikuach nefesh, with hatzalat nefashot. In Shulchan Aruch, we have halachot of tzedakah. And in halachot of tzedakah says Shulchan Aruch, sometimes you don't allow to change from a tzedakah that you collected for one thing, you cannot change it to something else. But sometimes you can. And says the Shulchan Aruch in Siman Reish Nun Aleph, in Seif Yud says the Shulchan Aruch, he brings there something from the Rosh. Says the Rosh there that if Am Yisrael collected money for Talmud Torah, for learning Torah, and what happened there for learning Torah, and what happened was that at that period of time came the Caesar, and he wanted taxes that they used to pay him every year. Says the Rosh, and this was the psak of Maran Bet Yosef, you take the money that you collected for Talmud Torah and you give it to the Caesar. Why? Says the Rosh, because if you will not give the money to the Caesar will go and he will collect money from the people, and he can come to a house of very poor people, and they were very cruel people, and if the poor will not have money, they will take off his clothing, he will remain naked, and they will hit him, and it have pikuach nefesh. So because of this pikuach nefesh, you change the money that you collected for Talmud Torah to give it to the Caesar. The Shulchan Aruch, he calls him the Hegmon, the ruler, maybe not the Caesar, to the ruler. Ask the Taz there a question. He brings a question from the Rashal, Maharshal. What is the question? Says the Gemara, Masechet Megillah, in Medaf Tet Zayin Amud Bet, says the Gemara there, that Gadol Talmud Torah, greater is Talmud Torah, יותר מהצלת נפשות, more from saving people, saving life of people. And the Gemara brings the Gemara brings the proof from Mordechai that when before Mordechai started to deal with Hatzalat Nefashot of Am Yisrael, he was very important in the eyes of Chachamim. But after he started to deal with Hatzalat Nefashot of Am Yisrael, it was reduced. Not all the Chachamim felt that he is an important person. So ask the Marshal, we learn that Talmud Torah is greater than Pikuach Nefesh, than Hatzalat Nefashot. So why here says Maran Bet Yosef that if you collected money for Talmud Torah, you have to give it to the ruler, and because of Hatzalat Nefashot. And here comes the Taz, and he explains, and he says what the Gemara meant. The Gemara meant something else. The Gemara agrees, he says, that Pikuach Nefesh, Hatzalat Nefashot, is greater than Talmud Torah. But says the Gemara, greater is the person that learns Torah and doesn't go to deal with Pikuach Nefesh than a person that what happened to him, a Pikuach Nefesh came to him, a problem of Pikuach Nefesh came to him, and what does he do? He is Mevatel Torah. This is the meaning of the Gemara. So we see from here that if a person is Mevatel Talmud Torah from doing a mitzvah, so greater is a person that learns Torah than goes to deal with the mitzvah. And since Am Yisrael at that day, on the 15th of Av, they finished with the mitzvah of cutting wood and starting to learn Torah, this is a very important day, and they made it as a holiday. But I mentioned before that who dealt with cutting the wood? Only several people, only some families of Kohanim. So because of a little group of people that came back and started to learn now Torah, because of them, you are making a Yom Tov for the whole nation. If the whole nation would have restarted to learn Torah, you can understand that we are making a Yom Tov. But the majority of Am Yisrael, they were learning Torah. Only some families that they dealt with cutting wood, they didn't learn Torah, and now they restarted to learn Torah. So because of them, you are making a holiday, a Yom Tov for the whole Klal Yisrael. Explains the Baalei Musar. We see from here, among them is Reb Chaim Elazari, and other Baalei Musar also. And they explain that we see from here the importance of every person that learns Torah. What was in the eyes of Chazal. By Chazal, every person who is adding to come and to learn Torah, for them it is a Yom Tov. From Tu B'Av, Am Yisrael are starting to learn more Torah, as the Gemara says. Because from this period of time, from Tu B'Av, the day becomes shorter and the night starts to become longer. And Am Yisrael used to add and learning Torah. This is one of the importance of Tu B'Av. Learning, increasing learning Torah. Another thing that we see was on Tu B'Av that the girls used to go out to the kramim, to the vineyards, and they used to look for a chatan. This is a time of weddings, and I want to wish Yoshua and Vivian that they will be zocher to establish a binyan adiyad, mabruk to them and to their families. I want to wish everyone the Birkat Shabbat Shalom. In Mitzvah Hashem, we will meet next week.